You all please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Here, Trustee Ralston,
Here.
Trustee Clark,
Here.
Trustee Hatcher,
Here.
Trustee Morris,
Here.
Trustee Nielsen,
Here.
Trustee Schneider.
Here. Okay, next item, approval of.
Mayor Calvert, are you here?
Oh. Pardon. Partially here. Okay, can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented.
Second. Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Notice we didn't have anything on here for public comment tonight on the agenda, but anyone here want to address the board?
There's
Any matter?
audience participations on there.
You'll move to presentations and discussions. First item is trustee reappointment. Oh,
One of the third.
that's you.
Hand over the money.
Raise your hand and read that.
I hope Morris do solemnly swear by the ever-living God that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Colorado, and the law of the State of Colorado, and will faithfully perform the duties of the office of trustee, which I am about to enter to the best of my ability. Forget this number. No, yes, there's.
Oh, sorry. No,
What's-
that's fine.
Right.
Thanks.
You don't want to go around the room and shake everyone. Oh, should I? Please forgive me for last.
Next item on the agenda is Mayor Pro Tem reappointment. Nick, you still want to be the Mayor Pro Tem?
You don't have to swear at you.
Okay, I was gonna say, I wasn't aware that.
Stand up, swear hand up.
Just the mayor's words that.
I got one here for you. The board in agreement on, we don't need a motion or anything like that, do we?
No, just consensus is fine. Your appointment is fine.
All right. Congratulations, Nick.
Oh, thank you. Let's take a big.
Next item, police station final design presentation. Mr. Rankin.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, this is a year-long project. Last year, just to summarize, we completed with the architect with this later architect work on this project. Did the preliminary design, had some funding from DOLA to help with that process. And then last fall, that was presented to the board. And since that time, we started what I call phase two. Phase three would be actually building this pretty picture on the screen, but we're in phase two right now. And working with Carl, David, and I, and Melissa and her staff, or her members on Infusion. We've come to this point where it's a final presentation tonight. So I'm gonna have Melissa come on up. There's Dan or Seth, probably sitting on.
Not like Dan.
And I'll say Melissa and her team's been really good to work with in the last year, and we're happy to have this presentation tonight.
That's right. It's nice to see some of you again, and I know there's a couple new faces. Some of the content is going to be repetitive if you've been a part of the board presentations before. So I might be brief on some slides, but feel free to stop and ask questions anytime. Troy, Carl, myself, sorry, Chief. Okay. David can probably answer questions along the way. So we just completed what's called design development, part of phase two. We have one more step to go. It's construction documents. That's final coordination between us and our engineers. So we're just here to give you guys an update on where we stand and what the rest of the process would look like. This is Let me try.
Here we go.
There we go. Um, this is just the process summary, kind of what we were just stating, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Those are completed. So that's programming, concept design, schematic design, and design development. If you remember in concept, we studied 3 sizes of buildings. We landed on the middle size. You will see that floor plan in a little bit. But also just a fun note, actually, this project originally started in 2018 with some previous sketches. So it's a long way running to get to this point. Well, that's not exactly how I intended to go slide to slide, but it will work. Phase 4, as I just mentioned, construction document. That should say May till July. So if tonight goes well, we would spend the next 2 months finalizing those documentation, fireproofing, waterproofing, making sure our bid package is together. So you'll hear a little bit about that bid package as we move forward. And then phase 5 is a little bit, it's TBD, to be decided upon funding. So that would be phase 3, actually getting this building built.
I lump phases together.
Yes, no, it's fine. So the design process, right now we are in detailed review meetings. We're looking at access control, security cameras. The guys got to pick out interior finishes last week and did an excellent job. So they got to look at LVTs, carpets, paint. So we're in the weeds of what goes into the facility. We also have been watching cost and value engineering along the way, but while still trying to provide and meet public safety standards with things like bullet resistance, in the drywall panel, in the glazing, in the pass-throughs at the front, taking into consideration potential different accreditations that chief might want to achieve. I will say the numbers you're seeing to the side were presented last year as well. These are just some of the numbers we could expect to see as differentiators in this project versus an industrial project. I believe it is my next slide. So one difference we have made between now and last year, we have been put up for some federal funding in the amount of $2.5 million. The town savings, I believe it's 1.2, but there's some extra potentially in the general fund that would allow the town savings to be 1.5. I'm still showing the higher projected cost because there are some unknowns. We still don't know when we're going under construction, but we're still chasing money such as DOLA dollars potentially this fall. I actually went to the DOLA grant presentations for the spring cycle today. So I am well versed in what we'll need to present if we chase tier 2 dollars. It was a pretty informative session, seeing what questions that panel and board asked and how other towns, Kersey, Rifle, Meade, Fraser, all presented for potential DOLA dollars. We would be seeking whatever our project deficit, it could be $1 million up to $2 million as probably COP financing. COP financing typically takes about 3 months. For those of you who do not know, that is certificate of participation. And I will say, I think just about every presentation today seeking DOLA dollars was also there, backing their remaining fee via COP. So that's the lease-based financing method. Troy has worked a way to make the payment plan shorter and worked with a couple different companies. So we know that this would be an option and path forward.
If I may just jump in real quick on the COP, so that we had them approach the board last year, talk about how that process works. So certificate of participation is basically a bond process, just not without public vote. You're basically using town hall as collateral to build a new police station, basically be a loan against, if we default, they take town hall in theory anyway. But then once the police station was finished and built, then that collateral will be then transferred to the police station until it was paid off. The nice thing about certificate of participation, the vast majority of school districts use it and more governments are using it because it's a way to use your existing cash flow year in, year out to pay off a short-term debt without increasing other taxes. So there won't be a bond increase or a property tax increase or anything like that. You'd be using existing capital improvement fund and general fund money to pay that debt in the next probably 6 to 8, 10 years. That's kind of the refresh of the COP process.
I looked that up. And this, what they're calling it's private credit.
Basically, yeah.
And there are no, as far, in my opinion, I think it's pretty high costs to borrow that kind of money because you have all the
collateral fees, like the lawyer that was here, that presentation.
There's a fixed fee involved with that, yeah.
There's no institutional safeguards, you know, if something happens, we may not be able to negotiate a time deferral or different payments. They don't have to negotiate with anything. And the collateral rules, the rules for collateral are really not in our favor. We would be paying rent for this until the police station's done. And the collateral basically has to be leased back, right?
It does not need to be leased back because it transfers from one to the other, but I'm also not a financial planner, so I'm not supposed to say too much in these regards, which is why we brought the COP correspondent last time. But it would transfer to that building. Yes, the police station would then be at risk. If you defaulted on the payments, once it transfers to the police facility, they could take back your police building.
And that's something, not to get into the weeds tonight, Steve, and I what you're saying in general, but that's where those attorneys and finance people would come back and discuss those items with the board. We have a 30-year bond on a wastewater plant. It's the same process. We default on that bond, they can take that wastewater plant. I mean, in theory, but they're not gonna do that. It's never been done. They don't want our facilities, they want their money.
Well, right, and that bond, that's state money, right? So they have a vested interest in not, but the private credit, they wouldn't have a vested interest in protecting us.
It gives us the ability to use our existing collateral, because other than the wastewater facility, which is enterprise fund, we've had no debt for the longest time.
Correct.
And we have a lot of collateral. We have a great credit rating, so this gives us a means to pay off a multi-million-dollar project with whatever we need on the short-term financing mechanism with existing funds with no more tax burden to the general public. That's what in generally it'll do. And I know it's not perfect, but it's a good process.
And I
A lot of
noticed-
places use it.
One other thing is the fees and extraneous charges are not governed. And they can be whatever they say they are, and we get to pay it all. The thing is, there's no institutional safeguards, like if we borrow the money from a municipal bond or something, there are safeguards inherent in those kinds. But those safeguards in this private credit really aren't
This is a
there.
bond. This is a bond. It is a bond council that would close this loan for us, just like we did 5 years ago with the wastewater plant. It's a bond. So
I think it's awful expensive money to
but,
borrow.
when we had the presentation before, we're looking at about 5% interest at that time. I don't know what it is right now, and the fees were locked into that. And if I recall right, I had the numbers. I wasn't prepared for this tonight, but on a $3 million loan, we would be paying about $600,000 to $700,000 in interest on the bond, including all fees associated with it. So that's all built in. It all has to be fully disclosed and transparent. There can't be anything hidden on this.
Right, but the controls that there would be with dealing institutional would be more, it would be more normalized. It would be something that that everybody knows going in. With private credit, I'm not saying there's unknowns, but the thing that I find interesting is that I think the fees associated with this are awfully high.
I think it's best if we bring them back when we get to that point. We're just not to that point now. I mean, we're highlighting that this is a funding option.
Right, but I wanted to get started and not
Absolutely.
gloss over this because the money is where I'm at.
No, absolutely. And I, from the going back to 2018, when we acquired the property from the fire station, when they built their new fire station for this purpose, for the new PD, that was discussed from the get-go, is that no new taxes to this community. We use existing funds. We've been saving money. We go after grant and DOLA money. Earlier this afternoon, I'll go ahead and disclose this. Gabe Evans, our congressman, called me up, and our project made the final list on the appropriations bill out of all the other projects. So now it's the point of the Congress passing that bill, and our $2.5 million is part of that bill. So we're almost there if the government passes that bill. So it's
Congratulations for getting us this far.
we've got, I'm not gonna go too far into it, but we got about 1.5 in total between Hollow Trust and some impact fees put aside for this project. If we get the 2.5, and maybe even a $500,000, if not a full million from DOLA, with some general fund cash reserves, almost 3 million built up. This could be a cash flow with no financing. With still $3 to $4 million in the bank. So
And
that's
you,
where I'm going with this.
and I appreciate that. I absolutely do, because this financing, I'm not in favor of. I'm really not.
The
I
reason,
want to do what we do. We have enough debt.
no, the reason I bring up the COP is if we're a little short, it's a short-term, practical, low finance option that we have some flexibility. We're not set long-term, there's no more debt service to our community. That's why I bring it up. So
Thank you.
I knew you had questions on it. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Melissa, back to you.
So other things we're doing to help control the cost of the project. We are going to the hard bid procurement process. So what that means is we're gonna complete the design documents and then put a finished set of plans out on the street, which, requires, public, solicitation of this. We can still put qualifications into that public solicitation, so we can determine as a team or a town board what those, requirements would be, whether they're insurance on that GC, whether it's prior project experience of similar types. But it'll be publicly advertised and it'll bring competitive bidding. So what you'll see then is sharp pencils and tight costs. We can hope at the time that the market is hungry. Right now, the market is, I think everyone knows, doing weird things. One day it's hungry, the next day people seem to be booked up for the next few years. But our hope is once we understand more of the federal dollars and the DOLA dollars in the fall, we can put this package out likely early next year for hard bid. That would,
Put this out for bid.
Yeah.
We're not putting out our cost estimates to these people.
nope, they will not have that information. You will get a range of costs on that. I'm sure you'll get some that are low, you'll get some that are high, and we'll find kind of a middle range there. That's typically the best way to go. Some of the disadvantages of hard bid are things like change orders, from a contractor based on scope they don't believe is in the drawings. So we are trying to safeguard against that now with, in our DD set, I just redlined, verify capacity of existing lift station. I'm gonna talk to David about, well, how can we verify that now so we don't have extra dollars thrown into these hard bids? So that's what we're gonna spend the next 2 months trying to define, and if we have to continue some digging after that, since this hard bid set likely won't go out till next year, we can continue to make adjustments as needed.
Can I ask another question?
Yes.
Can you tell me why you decided to do this stick built instead of steel? In terms of a tornado or something, some really, really tough weather, it seems to me like steel building would be much safer.
Are you referring to a pre-engineered metal building or true steel?
Well, an engineered building,
Okay.
I guess is what we're talking about, like what we see around.
So pre-engineered metal buildings would not have allowed the architectural articulation that we see in this building. We were trying to be a public campus, and you can't do kind of the hip and ridge end as easily in a pre-engineered metal building. I will also say I just had pre-engineered metal building versus wood priced for Windsor Severance Fire, and I believe it was about $5 a square foot in favor of wood framing. So the wood framing was coming back cheaper by the time you add in the unpredictability of steel, and then the fabrication and coordination of that. With a pre-engineered metal building, we aren't able to design the foundation system now. We'd have to wait till that sub is on board and does their calculations, and then we would go back and design our foundation systems. So it would prolong the construction process in a hard bid situation. You can make wood buildings solid. There's hold downs, there's anchors. We're putting brick veneer on them. So I would say in some ways, we're actually gonna have more longevity than you sometimes see in a pre-engineered metal building.
I was just
True.
thinking in terms of safety, weather safety.
Again, I think we can do the hold downs and the seismic restraints and all of that in wood the same as you could do in pre-engineered metal building.
Yeah, it's not designed to be a storm shelter. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, if it hits that building, it hits this building, we're in trouble. I mean. it
It's
is.
the same by the same token, though, I don't want my chief any shorter than he is.
Thank you.
Well, that's why in the phase one, we looked at a basement or partial basement. We looked at that safe room and good example, the pre-engineered medical building. We have a local business in town working on an improvement. I won't mention names, but as far as the foundation, that's exactly right. They can't do any foundation work until they get the engineering design on the PMB is what it's called. Until then, Safe Built will work with them on the foundation. If it's stick built, you can go after foundation, but it's a foundation, so.
And we have a pre-engineered metal building approach all the time, so we're used to those timeframes. But that foundation design and fabrication from the pre-engineered metal building it's 12 to 20 weeks, believe it or not. It depends who you are contracted with, whether it's Butler or Big Johnson or, XXX.
That's a good point, because last year when Franz and Pittman was part of our development team, design team, their consultant was looking at hard costs from recent projects like Severance PD and some of these others, and they were saying it's pretty much balanced between the engineered building and the stick built right now. Because steel has gone up and wood has gone down, basically.
So we're still at approximately $875 a square foot.
I think we'll be at less than that, but we can bring in a third-party cost estimator to do a new estimate. I'm not a cost estimator. I can look at my projects. I just had a precast police station at 20,000 square feet come in at 777. That'll have economy of scale. It's a different structural system that is theoretically more expensive than wood. But that's also planning to be built this year. I don't know. If you guys are okay with it and want to give me, okay, we're planning to break ground next March, we could certainly do some cost estimation with escalation based on that start date.
Well, as we put out RFPs, we will get from our proposed contractors.
Correct.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation for sure.
Thank you.
And though, like I said, you'll get a range. I think you'll see some at that 850. I think we could get some bids as low as 650 a square foot, and it'll be deciding what's the right partner for the job. Who do we think's got the quality and the experience and the warranties and the insurance and all of that to go along with the build. Okay, so construction overview, we kind of hit on that a little bit. We would want to look at starting this process next year if the cards fall right. 8 to 10 was my conservative guess. I think it would be around that 8 mark, maybe even 7. Depends on site development, what time of year we break ground. If we have a winter like this, you would have one general contractor who would contract the subs. So no one on this staff is responsible for calling the drywaller and getting them on site or the flooring installer. And this format would give us a fixed lump sum, not to say there's not opportunities for them to ask for change orders. We are looking at a slab on grade with a wood framing, asphalt roof due to cost savings from metal. And then you can see below kind of just the anticipation, site work and utilities, slab on grade, the framing, MEP rough in, and then finishes would be what that 8 to 10 months of construction would look like.
Is now the time to make comments on construction? The steel roof is far preferable. It's gonna last a lot longer. I put it on my house and it's clearly superior. I would say the extra money, whatever extra money there is over asphalt shingles would be well spent. How old is this roof?
1996.
Yeah, 30 years.
There isn't any asphalt that would last that
And
long.
we talked about that, and you're exactly right. It's the longevity is there, but the cost is what we're looking at as well.
That is actually a
It wasn't that much more expensive for my house.
that is the perfect item to add service or to add alt into a drawing set. So if I had the full drawing set here, we're starting to develop a list of adults and deduct alts so that each of these hard bid contractors are required to provide a list cost. We don't currently have standing seam metal roof as one of those adults. We've got things like paving the back parking lot versus an asphalt or crusher fine. Some ballistic panel locations, but that would be a great one to add to our adult list because then we would see, let's say we have 10 contractors bid the job, we'd get to see 10 different contractors, what they think it costs to go from asphalt to metal.
I realize standing seam is awfully expensive. I use just like siding.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It looks fine. I don't know what's on this.
think it's standing seam.
Is it?
Yeah, which is probably part of the reason we saw such a big increase from one to the other at SD.
Yeah, I don't think we need to be that bad.
200,000, 150,000, but it was true standing seam.
Right, my opinion was, I don't think we need to go to that extent, but I do think a steel roof is beneficial for the years coming, It'll even tolerate, hail.
Yeah, and I'm not argue that at all. I agree with that. It's just we're looking at the cost. And keep in mind that for simple math, that $5 million building, if you remember last year's presentation, about half that cost is for the actual building. Half of it's for utilities, the parking lot, the fencing, the internal equipment. I mean, it's the $5 million is not to build a structure. It's for the entire campus.
Right.
So about 2.5 to 3 is actually the building. So I just want to make, sure we're on the same page there.
I will also say asphalt shingle technology has come a long way. They now do impact resistant shingles for a small cost add that are warranted. The standard, I think, is 30, but we could actually get an asphalt shingle, I believe. Don't quote me on it, but that's warranted up to 50 at this point. And certain municipalities are actually requiring that level of impact resistance, even on residential homes. Because I think insurance companies were tired of hail damage claims on asphalt shingle roofs.
What percentage, Butch?
So now we have, we've gotten through the construction process and the budgeting. Now we were just gonna update you on the design. It's gonna look really similar to what you saw. What you're seeing here is kind of an aerial view from the residential side. So it's the back of the building. We are trying to be budget efficient here since it's not facing the public. It's facing the residential fences. So it's modestly designed on this side. You can see on the left side is the site plan. So there's about 16 public parking spots with 2 accessible spots. And then there would be 13 secure spots. Those are secure because we will have a gate and fence system here and here. We are showing a potential access easement that I know the town is working on.
Is that picture to scale?
This one?
Yes,
Um,
the picture.
oh, this, no. No, the rendering, I wouldn't say is to scale. All the components in it would be scaled so that the trees are scaled, town hall is scaled.
So on the far left, there's that, looks like a roll-up door.
Right here.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
is that?
It's an overhead door into the sally port, and it does look a little skewed here in terms.
How are you gonna make a turn into or out of that?
That occurs right here. And we have had EPS, who's the town civil engineer, do turning radius studies. That turning radius is rated for a cop car. You are not making that turn with a fire truck. Our fire truck route would be kind of straight through and back, hopefully connecting into the fire department. But you guys are in expeditions, right?
We're in, well, we have
We have
A couple.
everything.
yeah, we have a mixed bag, but
But I could dig through my files and pull up our turning radius study, but you would use this here to turn and then you're pulling out this way.
Yes, please solely don't go by the picture. It's for aesthetics.
Oh, now I see. Yep.
Yeah, we had Brad Curtis do the math and I sent a referral to Dave Sutton over Fire District. Because we're looking at, if this is built, the fire station is obviously to the north. We would basically cut in emergency access for fire apparatus to get to the north side of the building. So they've already signed that off with Chief Durkee. And then that empty lot, I'll openly say that's Daryl's duplex with that side lot on the south. And we've had some conversations of doing just emergency for police only, not public, police access into that as a backup access. So even town hall, we have one access off Grant. So when we paved Grand Avenue, I talked to Daryl about getting temporary access, which he granted. But having one access to our government facilities bothers me tremendously. So I like to have a backup access.
Okay.
That's what I'm working on.
Okay, there was such a
Yeah, I see what you're.
turn out.
Yeah, don't go by that picture.
I think
Keep the
it's
chief
bird
below
eye.
40 miles an hour through that sally port.
Yeah. No, it's all been tested, so.
There might be some, I don't know if we have another view from that angle, but I can promise, like even looking here, the proportions of that sally port look, you are correct, different than that kind of aerial rendering. what you're seeing here is that 4,950 square foot footprint that we agreed upon previously. This is just a finished floor plan showing you potentially different carpets, LVT, and then a good amount of just sealed concrete throughout the facility. And then this would be kind of your view from Grand Avenue, looking towards the entrance, a new sign and a flagpole. We actually do currently have a tree planned for that location, but I think we'll work through that in construction documents as well.
That Sallyport, is that strictly for bringing in miscreants?
There's several things that could happen, and I don't know, Chief, if you want to speak to it, if you want me to.
So yes, that would be, so it would be safer for us whenever we had a suspect that we needed to run back to the station, and also house the animals both in and out. Because right now it's all outside, so there'll be a section